After 123 test matches in which he scored more than 9,000 test runs, 30 centuries, an average of 47, Virat Kohli has pulled the plug on his test career. Joining us is Mr. Sunil Gavaskar, the first member of the 10,000 club. And that's going to be, Saibhai, my first question to you. Whatever said and done, it is a massive landmark, 10,000 runs. He's about 700 odd short of that mark. Are you a bit surprised that he decided to call a time on his career at this stage?
I mean, look, every decision to stop playing is an individual decision. To play or not to play is an individual decision. But not surprised. Not surprised because I thought that after what happened in Australia, there were going to be some massive changes, and so not surprised that he's decided to call it a day.
The reason I asked you with that 10,000 question, when you have about 700 odd runs, I know he may have been contemplating test retirement after the results that India had both at home in lost to New Zealand and then at the BGT. But when you're about 700 runs away, it's in your reach. You say, okay, let me give it a shot. Maybe one England tour, who knows, fortunes turn around.
Only you can answer that. Only you can answer that.
Overall, when you look back now at his career, I mentioned the amount of runs that he's got, the centuries that he's got, the average which he finishes with. Do you think he did justice to the talent that he had when he first burst onto the scene and where he's ended?
Definitely, yes. I think, look, he's been a colossal presence. He's been a colossus as far as run scoring is concerned in all formats of the game, not just the test format, in one-day cricket, in T20 cricket. He has been absolutely terrific. Since the time he made his debut to what he's done, what he's achieved, what he's done for Indian cricket, what he's done for world cricket is, unbelievable. It is, if I might use the word, without parallel.
So anyway, I'm drawing a few parallels in terms of recalling your test retirement and Virat's. And I'll tell you why I say that. Of course, as you mentioned, maybe Virat may have been contemplating that because of, drop in his own personal form as well as the results of the team. That wasn't really the case with you. But the point I'm trying to draw a parallel is that in your case, people were asking, it's always better to say why instead of why not. And that's exactly what happened in your case. People were surprised. And I think that's the parallel, that it's come at this moment. People are by and large surprised that he decided to call it time. Can you tell us what really goes through a cricketer's mind when he's such a revered and celebrated cricketer like yourself, and I'm putting Virat Kohli in the same status as well? What really goes through your mind that you decide, okay, is it the lack of belief that really comes in, or do you think, no, your career has run the course? What really plays it on your mind before you decide to call it a day?
Look, every individual has a different, outlook and approach to sport, to life. And in my case, I think when cricket, became a chore instead of a joy, that was the time, it gave me the signal that, this is the time to go. The only thing was that, like I said, I would have quit about a year earlier. But for the fact that, and I've spoken about it, that Imran Khan, persuaded me to play one series against his team. And then there was the first ever World Cup to be played in India. So that to me was the galvanizing factor to prolong my career by maybe 12 months, probably 12 months more than it really should have.
Okay, probably, what you're saying could really be the case with what may have been going through Virat Kohli's mind as well. He's often spoken about, where he finds himself. He's already started thinking about life beyond cricket. But overall, do you think now that you've had 3 big retirements in the space of few months, I go back to Ravichandran Ashwin calling it a time, Rohit Sharma announcing his retirement, Virat Kohli too. Do you think Indian Test cricket is ready for this transition with 3 big figures retiring within a span of a few months?
Look, no team can be ready for a transition when when you lose three such huge players, three such huge match winners, it's never going to be easy. But that's the beauty of sport. That's the beauty of life. Life moves on, life goes on. And these three players have been absolutely fantastic. The way they have, played cricket, the way they have, brought victories, brought laurels to the country. They have been, and the country can't thank them enough for what they've done. There is no question about it. But like in life, things move on. It might not be the same for maybe a year or two, but we have a terrific bench strength. India has always had a very good bench strength, and I'm pretty confident that the younger players will probably take a little while, but will also come on and get the victories that Indian cricket lovers are eagerly awaiting.
I'm looking back at Virat's career. You spoke briefly about, his contribution to Test cricket. Let's talk about Virat, the player first. What are the innings, knocks, any moments that really come to your mind when you look back at those 14 years of Virat Kohli in Test cricket? Some special moments that you recall?
Well, I think every time he got 100, the manner of him getting the 100 was, something special because of the way that he dominated the attacks, the way he used to run between the wickets. It was unbelievable. I mean, the speed between the wickets was like a cheetah running between one and looking for a kill, that kind of a thing. It was quite amazing. The speed, the alacrity on the field, the whole sort of commitment to the team's cause. That was the outstanding feature. There were so many hundreds. You can keep, I mean, 30 hundreds. You can keep talking about this 100 and that 100. But clearly, I think the 100 that he got at Perth about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, that would be a special 100. His first 100 when I mean, if he was to sort of finish with say 9,999, then I could actually say, go back and say, listen, that after he got 100, he was so excited, he forgot there was a second run there, because there was a second run there. He took the 100 come off his first, which is understandable. That you're so excited getting 100 for your country, So, but the subsequent this thing, Kohli would not have missed out on that second run as well. So that's the one thing that stands out. That there's so many hundreds, but obviously the first one, which is very special, and that Perth innings, which was again a top class innings.
Virat Kohli, the Test captain, how do you sum that up? He's only lost 2 Test matches at home throughout his tenure, has the best winning percentage for any Indian Test captain in history. What is the sort of legacy that he leaves behind as Test captain of this Indian team?
I think if you look at the captains who have been around, a lot of captains have been pretty good at home, and but overseas, victories are the ones like overseas runs, overseas wickets. Those are the ones that give the individual a lot more satisfaction, not just everybody else. And in that aspect, the win in Australia in 1920 would be really special, because that is never an easy thing to do. To win in Australia is one of the hardest things to do. Just like during our time, to win in the West Indies was probably the hardest thing to do.
Of course, that BGT series win that India registered 2018-19, as Mr. Gavaskar is saying, probably, and he was captain at that time, leading India to a Test win there, would have been very, very special. In terms of, player and captaincy we've spoken about, but what does it do, or what did Virat do to brand Test cricket? Remember, he came at a time where there were doubts about the Test format. He came at a time where T20 cricket was flourishing. It became very popular. IPL really rivaling international cricket in that sense. Virat, one of those players that always said, no, Test cricket comes first for him. It is the format that tests him. So how much do you think Virat, the brand, had a contribution to play in maintaining Test cricket as a brand?
Every Indian player who plays, recognizes that he will be remembered more by what he does at the test level and not to what he does at the one day or the T20 level. That's a given. That's been a given for such a long, long time. Even those who have been fantastically successful at the one day format to know that uh, because they weren't as successful at the test level, they probably won't be remembered as much as those, because the test match, by the very word test, is testing not just your technique, but it also tests your temperament. And therefore the test format becomes the important format. I think every Indian player who played at least for the last maybe till the last maybe couple of years, where T20 has really taken over, where people want to play more T20 than say the test match format or the one day format. So every player in that ever since I remember has wanted to do well at the test level.
Hmm. Now there's going to be a gaping hole with no Virat Kohli, no Rohit Sharma, and I'm going to come to Rohit Sharma. But just addressing the Virat Kohli question, who do you think can step into his shoes, number 4 for India going forward? Do you look at someone like a Shubman Gill moving there, or a KL Rahul, or do you think there are a few youngsters in the waiting who takes up that position, because it's a position of repute? Sachin Tendulkar would bat there. Virat Kohli is batted there.
Look, those boots are huge to fill.
Hmm.
Those boots are massive, massive. But that's not going to be easy for anybody who bats at number 4. You could possibly see a couple of people, coming in and going at that number 4 position. Just like after Tendulkar finished playing cricket, there were a couple of people who came in at 4, who were not quite able to do justice to that position till Kohli came in and took that spot as his own. So maybe we'll have to wait a little bit for somebody to come in and fill those boots. Like I said, those are huge boots, massive, massive boots to fill.
Hmm. Okay, I'm going to turn my attention now to Rohit Sharma, who also announced his retirement a few days ago. Sai bhai, his career, 67 test matches, 4,000 odd runs, 12 centuries. For a talented player like Rohit Sharma, fair to say that he could have achieved much more in test match cricket?
Yes, I think everybody, when they look at uh, his career, they'll say that maybe he could have done a little bit more. But I think he was one who played more for entertainment rather than personal landmarks. So he was quite happy to get a quick 60, quick 70, and didn't then want to maybe grind or go. He was quite happy to keep taking chances at that 50, 60, 70, and therefore missed out on a few hundreds, which could have maybe made him look a lot better. But that said, again, the what he brought to Indian cricket was again incredible. He was like a sight for sore eyes. Today, where everybody is muscular, today everybody is powering the sixes. He was able to hit the sixes with grace and style, and it was so nice to see that happening. I think if I might say, during the time that I played, it was a bit like GRB. GRB again was, when you look at the ability that he had. I mean, he had more ability in his little finger than all of us put together. Everybody else in that team that played, apart from of course Kapil. Kapil was an absolute genius, but she had more ability. But again, it was just the that thing of trying to try different shots, which would get him out in the 80s or the 90s, which otherwise would have added to his tally of 1500s.
And his moments, and I think you're being very unkind to yourself by not putting yourself in that list where you put a GR Vishwanath as well as a couple there. But going back to Rohit Sharma, his standout moments for you in Test cricket?
I think when he got 100, his first 100 overseas at the Oval, where and I would imagine that if we had bats which had the kind of power which current bats were there, maybe Vishy could have done something like that. But to get to his first century overseas with a 6, there was a fielder that had long gone, but he wasn't bothered. He just went and hit the ball with the spin. I think it was Moeen Ali bowling maybe. and he stepped down and hit him over long on for a six to get to his first century outside of India. So again, that typifies, the person. That landmarks were not the main thing. That enjoying the game, enjoying batting was really what it was.
Okay, with Rohit Sharma going, Saibhai, the biggest question that's facing Indian Test cricket is who's going to step up as the new Indian Test captain. There are a few contenders there. What it seems like that probably Jasprit Bumrah ruled out because of workload management. You'll have to look at resting him in a few Test matches. That leaves you with about three odd options. There is a Shubman Gill, there is a Rishabh Pant, there is a KL Rahul. These three names come to my mind. But who, according to you, is best suited then to take the reins forward from here?
Just as Bumrah for me, because who better to know what is the workload for himself than he? Whoever, if you appoint somebody else, they will always want an extra over from Jasprit Bumrah. Because that's, if he's your number one bowler, capable of taking a wicket anytime, you want that extra over. But Bumrah, being the captain himself, would know that, look, this is the time that I must take a break. Yes, I've got a wicket in my previous over, but my body says to me that I need a break. I think he would know. When you've taken a wicket in the previous over, another captain would say, no, yeah, take over all down it. And that can maybe lead to a complication. So for me, it's got to be Jasprit Bumrah only. I know there's kind of speculation going on about workload, etc. But give it to him, so he knows exactly how many overs to bowl, when to take himself off, when to sort of rest. So that would be the best thing. And as a captain, he's shown his capabilities in Australia just now, just about 6-8 months ago. Brilliant captaincy in the first test, brilliant captaincy in the last test, and if he had been fit to bowl even 4 overs in the fourth innings when Australia were chasing the score, who knows what could have happened.
That's a fair point, Zainbhai. Most people do seem to think that he's the right option. But if you were to be in a scenario where he has to miss out either on 1 or 2 Test matches because he's recovered from a serious injury in the recent past, would you still be okay with having a Bumrah as captain, even if he is to miss, let's say, 1 Test match in a 5-match series, and that is going to be the trend going forward?
So that is what I'm saying. He may not have to miss a Test match. He may not, because you give it to him. He knows, before his body starts to, grumble, he knows when to stop. So give him the captaincy. So he knows exactly when he should be bowling and when he should be taking himself off, when he should be going and standing at mid-on or deep finding. Deep finding obviously is not the position for a skipper, but when he should be standing up, where he doesn't have to, come in and steam in and try and get a wicket. So for me, give it to him. After the first test, there's an 8-day gap. So that's enough time for him to recover, hopefully. Then there are 2 back-to-back Test matches. That's fine. Then again, there's a gap of I think 8 days or something like that. Then 2 back-to-back Test matches, and then another gap. So I do believe that if you give him the captaincy, he will be the best person to know when he should be bowling and when he should not be bowling, and that will only benefit India.
So I'm going back to the retirements that have happened very recently, and in particular, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma. Now that they've decided to step aside is another matter. But if you were in the position of, let's say, a selector or a coach, would you have had them in your mind, selection for the England tour, considering you're starting a new WTC cycle? Or would you have anyway liked India to have a fresh start from here?
Well, I think that is exactly what would have happened. That there would have been discussions and conversations with them, and which is the reason why they would have taken this call. That they would have taken this call because they would have had conversations with the selectors or the chairman of the selectors or some senior board officials, which is the reason why, like I said, this didn't come as a surprise to me at least.
So, Saibhai, what you're saying is that, of course, nobody can really take a call on your behalf whether you want to continue or retire, but there probably would have been a nudge, keeping in mind what's coming forward for Indian cricket?
Conversation, definitely. I think definitely there would have been conversations with both of them. Because the one thing that nobody would have wanted to see, nobody, is for them to be dropped from the team. Nobody would have wanted to see that. So whatever the conversations might have taken place, whatever you might call it, because for both these wonderful, wonderful cricketers to go out on their own terms is what everybody wanted, and that's what has happened. They've gone out where they have, told the world that they've had enough.
Well, if that is indeed the case, Sahibhai, then credit where credit is due to someone like an Ajit Agarkar, because this is exactly what Indian cricket wanted out of a chairman of selectors, the one who could have conversations even with big players. And if that is exactly how things have panned out, then credit to the chairman of selectors to see the larger picture in the interest of Indian cricket.
That's always what you try to do. I've never been a selector, so I wouldn't know. But that is exactly what you want to do. You want to see the growth of the team. You want to see the team move forward. You want to see the team move forward at pace. You don't want to see the team move forward, in a sluggish manner. That's exactly what would be the thinking of any selector. That's what they want. And sometimes you've got to take hard decisions, hard calls, because that's what this game demands. At this international level, it is very hard, very harsh again. It spares no one. We've seen that in all sports. Look at tennis, you look at wherever, look at Djokovic today, look at Federer in the last couple of years, or look at even Nadal. When they were losing in the second and the third round, all those who love tennis were saying, no, hang on a minute, we would love to see them carry on, but we don't want to see them lose. You see? Because we all love the way they brought joy to us. So that is exactly the kind of thinking that would be there. You need somebody to come and maybe tell you. I'm sure in Federer and Nadal's case, they would have been somebody who would have told them, hang on a minute, it doesn't look good for these champions who are always in the finals or the semi-finals, and now you're losing in the second round.
Oh, that's a very interesting analogy, Sahibhai. What do you think the future holds for Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli in ODI cricket? Because that's the only form now that they'll be plying their trade when it comes to international cricket.
Well, they've been massive performers in this format of the game. So maybe what again, the selection committee wants to do, they will probably be looking at the 2027, that is 2 years down the road, the World Cup. And so that is what they'll be looking to say. Look, do we feel that they will be in the team for the 27 World Cup? Will they be able to make the kind of contribution they have been making? So that'll be the thought process of the selection committee. And if the selection committee feels that yes, they will still be making that huge contribution that they have been making, then both of them will be there for that.
What do you reckon, Sahibhai, at the moment? You see the two play the 2027 ODI World Cup?
No, I don't think they will be playing, but I'm being very honest. I don't think it'll be there. So, but who knows? In the next year or so, they strike this rich vein of form, and they keep scoring hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and then even God can't drop them.
Okay, Sahibhai, thank you so much for your time. But before I let you go, a quick word on the IPL. Any word? Are we expecting action anytime soon? And what's the conversation you've had with overseas commentators or players because you're part of that IPL bandwagon?
Well, the suspension happened, suddenly and quite correctly too, because at that stage with hostilities. There was no place for sport. But now that there is a ceasefire, I think it will resume. It will resume. I'm not too sure when. They said suspended for a week. So I would imagine it would be a week before we see any action now. But what I would really like to see is these are the last few matches. I think we've had about 60 matches or thereabouts. Now I think it's the last 13 or 14 games. I would sincerely, because of what has happened, and some families have lost their near and dear ones. I would like all the shoshabaji that goes with it not to be there. Just the game to be played. Let the crowds come in. Let's not have music. Let's not have the DJ screaming in the middle of an over. None of that. Let's just have a tournament. The balance of the tournament it's just sport. No dancing girls, no nothing. It's just cricket. That would be played. I think that would be a real nice way to respect the sentiments of the families of those who have lost any other parents.
I think, Sahiba, it's a great suggestion. And probably this is how IPL may continue as well. Before I let you go, I have to ask you one more question because two words are trending on Indian social media at the moment, and you'd be very surprised who are these two names that are trending. One is a Jeff Thompson, the other is a Dennis Lilly. They are trending because the Director General of Military Operation today, while addressing a media gathering, said that, listen, our system, our air defense system, and is so good, or our defense is so good, it's much like Thomo and Lily, because they used to say if Thomo doesn't get you, Lily must. So we have multiple layers in our defense system. So he quoted that example. My question to you is, that whole analogy, if Thomo doesn't get you, Lily must, that was really true on the cricket pitch. Nobody can tell us better than you. How tough was it to be facing those double engines?
Oh, actually, luckily they play both of them together. Played Lily when Tomo was not fit, and then when Tomo was there, Lily was with WSC. But that was a great saying by the Australians: ashes to ashes, dust to dust. If Lily don't get you, Tomo must. I think that was fantastic, and yes, I think that's exactly what I think ones across the border have felt.
Okay, Sahiba, thank you. Thank you so much for your time.